to this screen, so it's really just me. Oh, we lost Anaya. She'll be back. Okay. All right, now I've got my screen recording. I see something in the chat. Let's check the chat. Okay. All right, let's hope. She may be busy. I think she's somewhere. So we'll record this for her. All right, so if you'll look, please. Cello, you see how to hold the cello, and let me demonstrate this for you. We're going to hold the cello so that it's in between your knees. Sit up straight. Place your chest against the instrument and the C tuning peg. If you follow the C string up, the C tuning peg is right next to your left ear. Cello, we'll make a C shape with our right hand, with our left hand. And if you can see this C shape, here, this makes the letter C. Here it is backwards. It's kind of hard with the camera. But your fingers are spread. And your thumb makes the C shape, and the thumb goes behind the fingerboard. And please make sure you know that the names of the strings for the cello are C, G, D, and A. For the viola, we're going to hold our violas in guitar position, as you see on page 3. So to do so, take your right arm and place it so that it kind of holds the instrument. So I'm placing it just right about here. Violin, you'll also do the same thing. And then we'll place our thumb on top of the fingerboard, and we'll be using our index finger to pluck the strings by pulling upward. And violas can practice plucking your string names from the top to the bottom and saying the string names C, G, D, and A. So violas, you may go ahead and practice that. While I explain, the violin, of course, will hold it in guitar position, as you see on page 3. The arm rests holding it against the body. And then our thumb is placed on top of the fingerboard, and our index finger is used to pluck, which is called pizzicato. And you may practice saying the names of your strings of the violin, plucking upward. We're starting with the top string G, D, A, and E. Sorry, here's E. Let me do that again. Violin, G, D, A, E. Now for violin and viola, our left hand is the hand that we use to press down on the strings. And so we make this shape of a V, of the letter V. You see the letter V. Then you turn that hand. And what you want to do is make sure that there's space right here at the bottom of your letter V. Place our hand. Hey, Zanaya, good to see you back. All right. We'll place our hand on the violin or the viola. We're going to take that V shape. You can see that I am not letting the neck of the violin go all the way down into my V shape. We want to leave that mouse hole there, a little bit of space. So now we're holding the violin and the viola with that V shape. And to make sure where you're making contact, it's right here on my thumb. Maybe you can see my line of my thumb, and the tip, there's this first line. So part of the fingerboard touches on that line. And when I close my hand in my V shape, the other part of my finger touches right here at the line where my index finger bends. So let me show you once more. We have the mouse hole with the V shape. So now I'm holding the violin and the viola with my V shape, thumb on top of the fingerboard, index finger plucks. The violin strings, G, D, A, E. The viola strings, G, C, G, D, and A. The cello strings are also C, G, D, and A. All right. And Miss Gregory, if you could you find how to click that little microphone on your screen? And what that'll do is it'll mute your screen, and that way there won't be any
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It's perfectly fine. Actually, I do this in sixth grade, and I haven't even done this yet because we've been so busy. But you can do this later. You can do it now. Hold up your right hand. Repeat after me. It's okay to make mistakes. Let's do it again. Let's all say it together. Ready? Go. It's okay to make mistakes. All right? Making mistakes in this process is part of the learning process. So things get unmuted and all. Trust me, I do Zoom classes with Gardner Webb, and it's crazy. So appreciate it. And so I'm going to pick back up now that we all know how to hold it. Lillian, let me explain the cello one more time. So the thumb for the cello, when we pluck the strings, the thumb is behind the fingerboard, and we use the index finger to pull the string and pluck it. And the left hand make the C shape. Violins and violas make the V shape. Cello and bass make this C shape with their left hand. And cello players' fingers spread. Thumb goes behind the fingerboard. Those are the hand positions, and they're very important that we practice them correctly, making sure that we leave space in the cello in between this part of your hand and the side of the fingerboard, and with violin and viola, making sure that we leave space right here in the mouse hole. Little mouse comes right out of there. Okay, so that is fundamental and very important for us to begin. Mr. Strickland says, it's only fun. He's the high school orchestra director. Mr. Strickland says, it's only fun when you're doing it right. You know, like when you play a video game, the video game's going to be fun when you're doing it right and you're winning the game. Or when you're playing a sport, the sport's going to be even more fun when you're doing it right and you have a chance at having a good competition with other people. So we want to make sure we learn the right way to hold our instruments. Eventually, violins and violas will be moved to play underneath the chin, but that V shape will still be the same. So we need to practice learning it and doing it correctly the first time. If you learn something the wrong way, you might be really good at doing it the wrong way. And then you'll have to undo learning it the wrong way. And that will be even more difficult for you. Trust me, I've seen for years students that learn it the wrong way and struggle even up until 8th grade with a bad habit. So make sure you start with good habits. Okay, so we're going to move on to page 4. And on page 4, you can read for yourself about the beat and music staff and bar lines and measures, quarter notes and quarter rests. And our focus today will be to play open strings. So pizzicato is the term that we use to pluck the strings with our fingertips, as I described earlier. It's abbreviated in our books with the word pizz, P-I-Z-Z. And pizzicato is the Italian word for pluck. See, you've already learned Italian. So let's hold our instruments correctly, violins and violas, guitar style, thumb on top, index finger plucks. Practice getting your V shape with the mouse hole to support the instrument with your left hand. Cello, C shape with the left hand. Let's do exercise number 1 called Let's Play Open D. So I'm using a violin, so my open D string is here. However, Zanaya and Zanaya, your D string will be in a different place. Please look carefully on page 3 to make sure you know where your D string is. And Lillian, your D string is, as you know, on your cello, your 1, 2, 3, third string this way. All right, so thumbs on top, index finger is ready to pluck, and I'm going to count you in by saying 1, 2, ready, go, and then we're going to play the open D string together. Please be aware that in measure 1, you see what looks like a lightning bolt, and that's a quarter rest. And you may say, shh, during that time for the quarter rest, as we practiced in our rhythm reading exercise last week. Okay, here we go. We're going to play exercise number 1. 1, 2, ready, go. Shh. 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 Good job. Let's go to exercise number 2. Let's play open A. In fact, let's do exercise number 1 again, because you may have been hearing a different string, and I totally bombed that. I played the open A string. So let me redeem myself and let me play exercise number 1 again and actually use the right string. Sorry, Abigail, I was thinking I had a viola in my hands, but I actually had a violin. So let's try it again. Exercise number 1, let's play the open D string. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Shh. 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 Now exercise 2, and we're going to play the open A string. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Shh. 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 Continuing on page 4, we're going to play song number 3 called Two's a Team. This uses the open D and the open A strings. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Shh. 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 Song number 4, At Pirro's Door, a French folk song. Ready? 1, 2, 3, play. Shh. 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 Let's play that one again, slower. This time, make sure you watch out in measure 2 for your rests. We have a rest on beat 2 and a rest on beat 4 in measure 2. It's tricky, so let's slow it down. Here we go, song number 4, At Pirro's Door. 1, 2, 3, go. Shh. 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 Continuing on page 4. Oh, nope, moving on to page 5. We have Count the Beat. Please read the information in page 5 about your clef. Treble clef for violins, alto clef for violas, and bass clef for cellos and basses. It also explains time signature and the double bar line, and as well as counting. So this time we're going to play exercise number 5, and we're going to count the beat. When you get to rests, you can say, shh. Let's play exercise number 5. 1, 2, ready, count. 1, 2, 3, shh. 1, 2, and 3, and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. And you'll see there at the end that you have a double bar line, which means it's the end of a measure. Song number 6, Mix Them Up. Make sure, violins, that you're using the V shape, leaving some room for the mouse hole. Thumb is on top of the fingerboard and index finger is plucking. Cellos, use the C shape with your fingers spread evenly. Thumb goes behind, leaving space in between your hand and the fingerboard so that you may push down with all of the force of your fingers. It takes a lot to squeeze those cello strings. Song number 6, Mix Them Up. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. I want you on your own to play song number 7 at home during your practice time. You may also write in the counting before you play, and be aware that there's a repeat sign. And the repeat sign, of course, means to repeat. The Essential Elements quiz I will play and demonstrate for you right now. Let me do so on a viola this time. Don't forget, make a V shape. Leave room for the mouse hole for violins and violas. Thumb on top, fingertip plucks. Cellos use the C shape. Song number 8, Essential Elements quiz. Don't forget, take the repeat. Let's play. 1, 2, and 3, and go. 1 and shh. 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and uh-oh. I messed up again. I was thinking violin, but guess what I was playing? The viola. Let me try it again. So here's my D string on the viola, and here's my A string on the viola. Okay. Song number 8. Thank you, Zanaya. It's okay to make mistakes, right? Thank you. Y'all are so gracious. Oh, you're going to be a good group. Okay. Song number 8. Let me get my strings ready. All right. V shape, C shape. Sit up straight. Put your feet flat on the floor. Oh, that's something I forgot to talk about. Okay. When playing your instrument, I don't know if you can see that. So You don't want your feet doing something weird like this, okay? When I have students in class, I'll tell them to sit up straight, scoot up to the edge of your seat, put your feet flat on the floor, as if I were to say 1, 2, 3, and you can stand up. Again, one of those things that's kind of hard to do over Zoom, but make sure when you're practicing both cello, violin, and viola that your feet are flat on the floor. Don't worry if you're a cello player, you don't have to stand up when I say 1, 2, 3 because it's difficult. But violin players, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you weren't able to stand up, maybe your feet weren't placed correctly. So we might have our 1, 2, 3 stand-up quiz. But we got a lot to talk about. So learn how to do it right and practice it the right way. Feet flat on the floor. Make sure you sit up straight. Okay. Exercise number 8 on the viola. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1 and shh. 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and shh. Shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and repeat. 1 and shh. 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and shh. Shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. That's a good quiz. So if you're having trouble with it, feel free to watch this video and rewind it. Watch out for the rests. Slow it down if you need to on your own. And let's go ahead and look at page 6. This is a very important page. This explains the shape that your left hand will do with your fingers. Remember, we're making V shapes and C shapes, but that is just how we hold the instrument. But we push down with our fingertips to change the pitch of the strings. And that's how we get all the wonderful and beautiful notes that we can play on our orchestra instruments. Violins and violas use this shape that you see on page 6. Cello, this is the shape that we use that you see on page 6. And so please read that very carefully. However, I'm going to show you and demonstrate what page 6 is asking you to do. So I'm playing a viola, and this is my D string. I will put my first finger, remember this is our shape we're going to be using. My first finger is going to go on the D string, and it's going to push down on the fingertip. I don't know if you can see that my knuckle is bending. Make sure to get on your fingertip. Can you see where the string was on the tip of my finger? Make sure that you bend your knuckle. So I've got my V shape, mouse hole. Put my fingertip in place on the first piece of tape with my index finger on the D string. That plays for you the note E. Then, remember how the picture showed our finger 2 and finger 3 touching together? That's very important because after we place our index finger, we're going to put finger 3 on the second piece of tape. Let's see, there it is. So now I have finger 1 on the D string, first piece of tape, and fingers 2 and 3 together with finger 3 on the second piece of tape, and finger 2 is touching just behind finger 3. And there is space in between my index finger, finger 1, and finger 2. So make sure that you leave space in between those two fingers. And this is where it might get difficult. Remember to leave your mouse hole open Let's check and see that. There's my mouse hole. My thumb is on the side with that line of my thumb touching. My index finger is on the D string on the first tape. My middle finger and ring finger are placed together with the ring finger touching on the second piece of tape. When I play my third finger, my ring finger, that will play the note G. And if I keep my hand in place and lift my third finger, that gives me the note F sharp. So violins and violas, you may begin practicing playing E's and G's, and then lifting that third finger, making sure that the second finger is touching. And when you lift that third finger, it will give you the note F sharp. For the cello, we place our index finger on the first piece of tape of the D string. My third finger is in between the two pieces of tape. My ring finger is on the second piece of tape, and my pinky finger is on the third piece of tape. And this is the shape for the cello. First finger plays E. 3 fingers on the D string plays F sharp. And 4 fingers on the D string on the cello plays G. Next, let's look at a song that we can do to practice playing notes. And it starts with, on page 6, let's read G. So, violins and violas, 3 fingers on the D string. Cello, 4 fingers on the D string. And let's read G. Remember to place your thumb on the fingerboard and use your index finger to pluck. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. G, 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 and sh. G, 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 and sh. G, 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 and sh. You may have seen me doing some movements like this. Now's a good time to talk about conducting. I'll be right back. A conductor typically uses what we call a baton, and the conducting pattern looks like this. We have beat 1, which will be down in the middle. Beat 2 is over here to this side. Beat 3 and beat 4. Let's see if I can get a better view of that. So I'm going to conduct you. Here's beat 1, beat 2, beat 3 on the side, and beat 4 is above beat 1. Then it goes back down into beat 1. So I'm going to conduct you playing song number 9. Let's read G. Instruments up, sit up straight, put your feet flat on the floor. Violins and violas make a V shape. Make sure you leave a mouse hole. Cello and bass, C shape. Make sure on the cello that your wrist and your forearm are nice and straight. Don't let this habit become something that can mess you up in the long run. Make sure that your elbow is up, but your shoulder is relaxed. We don't need to do that. Just this is straight and the shoulder is relaxed. Instruments up. Song number 9. Let's read G. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. Oh, we should have took the repeat, but for time's sake, we'll move on. Okay, let's read F sharp, page 6, Exercise number 10. Instruments up. Put your feet flat on the floor. Sit up straight. 1, 2, 3. Did you catch it? Did you stand up, violins and violas? Okay. Did you fall over? Did you forget? Make sure those feet are flat on the floor. Lillian, don't you stand, okay? You don't have to stand when you've got the cello. All right, instruments up. Put your feet flat on the floor. Violins, violas, make a V shape. Cello and bass, make the C shape. 1, 2, 3. Let's read F sharp. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Repeat. 2, 3, shh. 1, 2, 3, shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. Good job. Now we're going to move on to the song Liftoff. I'm going to use a violin to demonstrate this song. The index finger on the D string, ring finger and middle finger, with the ring finger touching the third piece of tape. Cello, you have 4 fingers on the G and 3 fingers on F sharp. For violin and viola, we'll play G, and then you'll just simply lift your third finger and underneath it, if you can see how I'm just underneath the tape so that these 2 fingers are touching. See how they're touching and they're overlapping? And you'll just simply lift your third finger to be able to play F sharp with finger 2. Here we go, song number 11, Liftoff. 1 and 2 and 3 and play. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Repeat. And shh. And shh. Okay, one more. Song number 12, On the Trail. And violins and violas, you'll see on page 7. It explains a little more about your left hand and making sure that your wrist does not touch the back of the instrument. What I tell students is that this part is hot. It's hot, so you don't want your wrist to touch it. Ooh, it burns. And eventually it's going to burn in 7th and 8th grade, because if you do that, your grade will go down. So go ahead and learn now to keep your wrist away from the instrument, holding it with the V shape and the mouse hole. Let's try song number 12. In fact, I'll do it on cello. We don't want to leave you out, cello. Okay, so 4 fingers on the D string for the cello. Index finger on the first tape. Middle finger in between. Finger 3 on the second piece of tape. Finger 4 on the third piece of tape. Here we go. Song number 12, On the Trail. 1 and 2 and 3 and play. And 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and shh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and shh. E on song number 13 is quite simple. You just place your index finger only on the D string. I want you to practice on your own song number 13, song number 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. They're all on page 7. And also practice everything else that we did today. When you come back next week, we'll play together some more, and we will move on with learning how to play on our A string and also something called tunneling. But feel free to go ahead in the book and look ahead. But please don't worry about page 8, which talks about bowing. I will be teaching you the way I want you to learn page 8. So all the stuff that's helping with bowing, just leave it. But if you want to go ahead and get a head start on us, you can go ahead and, if you understand this and you're comfortable, you can go ahead and play the songs on page 9. In our orchestra class, we have tried to play up to song number 24. We also learned page 10, which we will talk about next week. And all of our Cohort A and Cohort B students have made it to number 34. So that will be our goal for our next meeting. But please do read ahead, especially if you feel comfortable in understanding how to read your notes. Quite simply, the notes on the A string are found in the same way, cello and violin and viola. They're found in the same finger patterns, but you just move that to a different string. If you have any questions, please send me an email. There are also things to do on your assignments. Let's just share the screen right now. Let me stop our recording.